Hey gang, thanks for joining me. This is Travis for Tpull's Corner, and we are in June, which is Evergreen month, which means we take a keyword and we focus a deck around it, and in this case, we're doing discard. We've done most of the abilities already, like Hexproof and Menace and Reach, so that's on the playlist for anybody new. You can go look up the Evergreen 2023 playlist. And especially if you're relatively new to Magic, those are good decks to introduce you to one particular ability that you can use and, maybe answer some questions about its use, its limits, its strengths, and its weaknesses. I like Traumatic Revelation because it'll work, or if it doesn't, you still get to incubate 3, so there's a little bit of flexibility with the card. It's not completely useless if it doesn't work. As a ability, you can't just discard any non-land thing. It has to be a creature or a battle. And it looks like the pre-made deck. And they've got 2 lands right now, so I guess we're getting rid of the Outland Liberator. They just have another one anyway. Okay. Okay, fine. Let's see, they don't have any other 2-mana spell, right? So I'll just use this now. What are the odds I'm going to have the right mana in the right amount later? They have 3 mana. Couldn't they have brought down the Weaver of Blossoms? Let's scry. Let's see what's coming up next. Liliana. I guess we take a Liliana. Let's do Containment Construct. And I think that's all we do. I'll trade you for that. Okay, in that case, we'll ninjutsu. Bring you back up. Hit you for 2. Throw Construct away to destroy the werewolf. And then we'll have a surprise with Liliana next turn. 4 land. Okay, so we're going to wait, are we? Or do you... No, you have Weaver of Blossoms, right? There we go. Okay, perfect.
When I win, you're telling me what you know about the... I've always hated crowds.
It's got Ward 1. That's okay. And this is okay. I want to land. Yes. Perfect. Okay, so we offer them the choice. They discard this spell, this creature. They sacrifice the creature, or they discard one of these things. They should discard something on the, bird in the hand is worth 2 in the bush, right? They've got something on the battlefield state already. They should want to preserve that. They just have to make a choice up here. So they get rid of a creature. We get rid of their creature. Only costs us 2 life. That's a good trade. We make them discard. Again. They had such a tough choice before.
Things.
Is it easier now? Weaver of Blossoms, the second copy. Okay, that's all our ammo. That's all we can do. If they put a creature down into this, no, they're just doing that. Okay, so now they don't have a creature down, so they don't even have to discard in that case. They tapped out to do that. Are they thinking about discarding a card? They don't have to. When you don't have a creature down here for this spell, it's kind of a bug, but you don't have to discard in that case. Do they not know this? I don't think they had to do that. Ah, maybe they just realized that they didn't have to do that. Alright. We won with our discard deck. Woohoo! That's better than what I've been doing most of the night when I was playtesting this. I've been playing against a lot of perfect hands. And ironically enough, when I start in my starting hand without that many discard spells, I do really poorly with this. Maybe that's to be expected when you got a discard deck, but it's a little bit of alchemy to figure out the right... Here, their cards. Discard. It's a little bit of an alchemy to figure out the right frequency of discard spells to put into a deck. Because you need to have some interaction, because your opponent is going to put out something on the battlefield eventually. You also need some creatures to do something against them besides just make them throw away their cards. So you need equal parts discard, your own creatures or offensive strategy, and interaction. You can't have too many discard spells, or you end up with dead cards in your hand when they empty their hand, especially if you're going up against like a mono-red aggro that empties their hand in 2 or 3 turns. Then these cards aren't going to do you any good. So we tried to craft a strategy that sort of allows for that. We've got Concealing Curtains, 0/4 to start with. You pay 3 to transform it into the Revealing Eye. You can make them choose a non-land card to throw away. If they do, they get to draw another card to replace it. But, you know, if that card you got rid of is too big a threat, you do it. Dread Fugue. They reveal their hand. You choose a non-land card. It has to be mana value 2 or less. If we get it later and we can pay the full cleave cost, we lose the mana value restriction. We can just choose a non-land card for them to get rid of. We have Corrupt Court Official. Discards a card when we bring it out. And Nizumi Informant. Different expansion, different name and art for the card, different creature type, but exact same stuff. When it enters the battlefield, opponent discards a card. So 2 of those. Dukochi Silencer, which you saw. When it does combat damage, we can discard a creature card from our deck. When we do, we destroy the target creature or planeswalker that player controls. One Extract the Truth. This is how we deal with enchantments that they get on the board. Or if we suspect that they have disgusting planeswalker or enchantment in their hand, we'll go after it. Infernal Grasp for removal, as well as 3 copies of Sheoldred's Edict. Gives us a little flexibility on what to make them sacrifice. 1 Pilfer, there's another discard spell. Traumatic Revelation, which I like because if they don't have a creature battle, we do get to incubate. And we have Containment Construct. I like this card. Whenever you discard a card, you can exile it from your graveyard. If you do, you may play that card this turn. So we pair that with Liliana. If we get Liliana and Containment Construct out on the field, we've got to remember not to place our land down first, because we can have each player discard a card, and instead of our card going to waste, if we discard a land card, we can still use Containment Construct to play the land. If we've got enough mana to play a spell, again, we do the discard first for Liliana, then Containment Construct allows us to cast that spell. So we don't pay any penalty if we're trying to force our opponent to discard a card, and sometimes when you do that, you have to discard something good from your own hand. It's painful. So this is our way to get around that. 4 copies of Graveyard Trespasser, because there is so much raiding of the graveyard for things like Itali decks these days, or resurrecting, reanimating, Atraxa, these big old spells. So maybe we can put a lid on that a little bit. Also, why Trespasser? Because of the ward ability. If they target the Trespasser, they have to discard a card from their hand. So yet another way that we've factored in a discard effect, but it's up to them if they're going to pay that cost or not. We have Gix, Yawgmoth Praetor. Whenever you deal damage to one of your opponents, you can pay 1 life, and if so, draw a card. There's almost a mill effect here for 7 mana. You can discard the number, if you have 5 cards in your hand, you can discard 5 cards. Then you exile the top 5 cards of your opponent's library, and you can play those without paying any mana cost. So it's not quite discard. You're discarding your own cards to get at the top of their deck. But, you know, it's adjacent. You know, it gives me a tiny bit of an area for card draw that I don't have a lot of in the deck, too. The 2 Lilianas, of course. 1 Path of Peril for board wipe. We do have Celestis and Network Terminal as our mana dorks to get white mana if we do need to cast a total board wipe with the cleave cost. Celestis allows us to trigger the discard effect with Containment Construct. This basically gives us free land draws and stuff like that, free land plays. 1 Bloodsworn Squire, 3/3 Soldier. We can discard a card for 2 more mana and it gains Indestructible. We do have to tap it. Once there are 4 more creature cards in your graveyard, you can transform it into the Vampire Knight, the Bloodsworn Knight you see to the right. Then its power and toughness are equal to the total number of creature cards in my graveyard. Long Reach of Night. Here's a sort of discard with flexibility, right? But it's their choice. Each opponent sacrifices a creature unless they discard a card. Most of the time they're choosing to discard a card. So it's sort of acting like 2 for 4 mana, you get 2 discard effects a lot of the times. Sheoldred. You can always include Sheoldred in a deck, but in this case, her Chapter 2, if you can turn her into True Scriptures, each opponent discards 3 cards, then mills 3 cards. So fits my discard theme, I put it in there. And because we have all these discard spells, we can only activate the transformation into the Enchantment Saga if the opponent has 8 or more cards in the graveyard, so maybe the discard spells will help us get to that number sooner. Cruelty of Gix, Chapter 1, is a discard effect. And for creatures, the Cruel Grimnarch, a 5/5 Phyrexian Cleric with Death Touch. When it enters the battlefield, the opponent has to discard a card. And Duskmangler, you pay one of these costs to get it down. You either sacrifice a creature, discard a card, or pay for a life. When it enters the battlefield, your opponent has to do all 3. Sacrifice a creature, discard a card, and lose 4 life. Now, I started with 3 Cruel Grimnarchs, and Rena thought it was funny to keep dealing me all 3 of them within my first 4 card draws. So this is kind of the frustrating thing about when I first joined Magic, is I would try and play with some of the high-costing cards, and I would get them way too soon. And I'd have dead cards in my hand for the entire match. But my opponents, they had all the mana they needed, and they would play these 7, 8, 9 mana casting cards, and they would run circles around me, and they were treating me different, and you could tell. And it was very frustrating, and Arena changes their algorithm every now and then, and they're back to that now. And I can state this for a fact, because I had to cut out one of these Cruel Grimnarchs to get this down to 4 cards that cost high, cost more than 5. And that's all this deck can handle. Because if I put in one more high-costing card, it ruins me. Literally, it ruins me. And I can tell this because I've been using my discard spells early on to look into my opponent's hands, and there's been a lot of perfect hands. We're talking like they have 2 Atalis and 2 Sheoldreds, and I can discard a couple, but they've still got the same threats, and then they get a ramp card that gives them the exact mana they need to cast Atali. I've gone up against Atraxa Reanimation, where I get a peek at their hand. They've got Atraxa, they've got the Reanimation spell with Flashback. I make them discard both of those, and they just cast it with the Flashback spell by the time I discard both of those. And when I kill it, by the time I kill it, they've got a 5/5 Flying Dragon I need to kill, and that's a legendary dragon that brings back cards from the graveyard right into the battlefield, so they just get Atraxa back. So, you know, basically perfect hands, perfect openings. And they've got, you know, maybe a 5 mana card, maybe one more expensive card, and everything else is exactly what they need to cast at exactly the time they need to cast it. It's pretty gross. This was probably something I was supposed to mulligan, because look, I was just talking about this, right? What is that going to do? When it dies as well. Great. They're saying oops. I don't think there's an oops on there. That's the way they want it to be. We'll just make you sacrifice yours, I guess, too. It comes back to the battlefield, but at least it's got some things. Alright, let's just get rid of that now before they put something else on it. So you saw my deck. I only have 4 cards that cost more than 5, and it gave me 3 of them in my opening hand. And sometimes I very purposefully do not mulligan precisely so you can see what Arena does to me. I'm not even in ranked. Let's get rid of that so they can't resurrect it. They probably have more Vraska's Falls in here. Okay, they do have to discard if they want to get rid of that, which they won't mind doing. They throw away a Skrell's Hive. 2 more poison counters. And the rest of my hand is now worthless because I don't have enough mana for anything. If they have 1 more Annex Sentry or Vraska's Fall, I'm done for. Because they do have the extra card to discard. And they didn't miss a land drop. Yep, they've got Sheoldred's Edict. And we're up to 9 counters already. With some really cheap spells. Well, it's Phyrexian Poison. I usually lose to Phyrexian Poison no matter what I'm playing anyway. And I can play Celestis. Alright. I'm not sure how good a game that was. I only got 3 land the entire match. Yeah, so I took out one of the Cruel Grimnarks and I still got 3. 3 cards that cost 6 or 7 mana in my opening hand. Does that seem random? And it's not like I've been winning a lot. But I did win the first match, right? So when I hit the record button, I tend to win my first match a lot, and then Magic makes me pay for it. Okay, if they do that to me again, I'll mulligan. I just need you to see the abuse that I go through on a daily basis. It gets worse if I go in ranked. Okay, this is a good hand because I have Traumatic Revelation at the start, and I have a removal, and I have a cheap spell I can bring in. So, choices by turn 2. And not too far off from being able to transform that, cast that. How many cards do you have? 80. We'll wait for them to get back from the putty stop. I'm supposed to remind you to like and subscribe because some people don't watch the video all the way through. Some people only watch the gameplay. Some people only watch the deck tech. And my opponent is Dry Bones, and I think my bones are going to go dry waiting for them to decide what they're going to do. Maybe they have to go to a rest stop. They're here! Gotta feed the pet. Don't forget to give biscuits to the pet. Come on. There you go. Get that. Blue and red. Let's see what you have first. We have Counterspell. We have Fading Hope. We have Scatter Ray. Behold the Unspeakable, and we'll get rid of Vadric now. So Infernal Grasp is useless because of Fading Hope. Containment Construct is useless because of Scatter Ray. And anything else is useless because of Bring the Ending. They have one of everything they need to do anything they want at any moment, at any time. And I need... Unless we pay 2. So to pay Long Reach of Night, I need like 6 mana? They take long because they have blue spells. It's not like there's anything for them to use Scatter Ray for or Bring the Ending. So the only legitimate card that they can spend is Fading Hope right now. So all this waiting is because they can use Fading Hope whenever they want. And we're going to have to wait for them to realize that. Close to Behold the Unspeakable. Still waiting. Oh, this is going to be a long drawn-out game, isn't it? Are they doing this on purpose? There's literally nothing else for them to do. Why would they pause on anything? Oh, this is horrible. They got to be doing this on purpose. Why are you looking at your lands? People are weird. Okay, let me do something. Now I've done it. Let's come back in 5 minutes, shall we? We really discombobulated them now. Alright. One counterspell down. I feel like I'm playing a chess match against somebody with attention deficit syndrome who keeps getting distracted by a squirrel off to the side for 5 minutes at a time. Okay, I think we play that as a regular land. Let's try Long Reach of Night. Again, they can Fading Hope it, but unless this is some new counterspell, that's all they can do. They Fading Hope their own creature. I think that's good for me. They could have just kept their creature there already pumped up and just discarded the Fading Hope. Do they do their enchantment? They do nothing. They can counter the artifact or creature, right? 3, 4, 5. Okay, so we'll do this. We'll auto pay. They should want to do the scatter ray. Eventually. Eventually they'll get to the scatter ray. Just be patient. This will all be over someday when I'm old and gray. Okay. Now. Thank you. I would prefer a 6 land next. That would let me do everything I want to do. That's not what I thought it would be. Creature or planeswalker. I don't think they have a creature or planeswalker. Let me try the Celestis first. So they do have something that's upholding priority. And we wait for the roping. Go play with the pet. It's interesting some of the decks that you come up against when you suddenly switch to a new type of theme. Like I haven't done... I think that's all we're going to do for this turn. I haven't done a discard deck in a really long time. It's one of my favorites from back when I first started playing the game. It's gone close to 30 years ago. And... but I haven't done one in a really long time, and when I did, suddenly, oh, I haven't gone up against a mill deck in ages, but as soon as I make a discard deck, oh, I'm coming up against a mill deck. So there are entire sections of Arena Online. There are millions of players, so you're virtually guaranteed to match any time of the day that you're playing. But there are sort of these subgroups, and Arena won't let you into those groups if it doesn't like your deck configuration. So the decks that I've been making, you know, like my Hexproof deck, I didn't come up against a mill deck. You know, my deck with all reach creatures, I didn't come up against a mill deck. As soon as I come up with a discard deck, I'm facing a mill deck. It's not the land I wanted, but let's go ahead and have them reveal their land at least, or reveal their hand, I mean to say. We'll do the chapter 1, because if not, otherwise they're just going to counter it, right? Chapter 1 it is. Don't need to stop there. It's a Rebel Salvo. 5 damage. Okay. Now I know what you have. No attacks. You play the instant now? Yes, you do. No blocks. Come on through. Alright. Search for... What do we want? I just want to get rid of that enchantment for starters.
A fight? And you think you can win? Sacrifices must be made.
I feel like we're finally getting somewhere. Target creature from a graveyard. I think I want Vadrik. What do I want to do next? Discard a card. I'm going to discard that card.
Drop it.
It's a land card. I'm going to take action. I'm going to play the land card for free, so don't lose it. And then I'm going to get rid of you. And then I'm done. Now, unless they have a way to get rid of Liliana, they got to worry about losing a card every single turn. That's a perfect card for them right now. Gives them card draw. And they get 2 of them, okay? Let's get rid of creatures. Let's go ahead and make everybody discard.
We all have things we'd rather
And then
forget.
I draw. Ooh, I like that card. And it's time to attack. No dual lands yet, all basics. Nothing for a target for my Field of Ruin at all. They can draw 2 cards a turn now. And they do. Because nothing helps them. Let's draw a card, discard a card, but we actually get to play that card. You have to discard one of your cards. You discard a land. How about you discard another card? I'm going to discard a land.
You won't be outsmarting
But thanks to
me.
Containment Construct, I get to actually play that land. And that's another land coming up. Why not? And we attack with you and you. And you lose your other creature. And we'll start getting rid of other spells too, just to drain your graveyard. Because that's the kind of guy I am. This can come back as an enchantment aura, but we can make them sacrifice the enchantment, so that's why we're holding on to Extract the Truth. In the meantime, Vadric getting more powerful just makes all our spells cheaper, so we've already got as much mana as we'll ever need. They haven't been storehousing too much land. They've been playing it so that they can use it for draw card advantage. But by the time they draw 2 cards, they can't use anything. Good luck getting past my Grimnark. Yeah, let's discard a card.
I'm tired of your secrets.
Take action. I'll actually cast it. Sacrifice an enchantment. The only enchantment you got. And do this. Take action. It's another Celestis. We don't need another Celestis. How about that? No, don't worry about that. We'll play that. We'll go draw a card. Ooh, a Dusk Mangler. Sweet. Let's just attack with you and you. That's all we need. Lear! Lear is here! What can you do? 5 damage to the Planeswalker.
I knew this was a waste of time.
They're looking for something to cast Fading Hope on. There you go. That puts it back into your hand instead of mine. In this counterspell, I don't have to worry about while Lear's on the field. And the thing they forgot about is my Revealing Eye has Menace. And they can't really bring that down because it's legendary, so they'd lose it right away. So they did remove an attacker, but trigger the draw card, discard. Let's get rid of Duskmangler. We don't have enough mana to pay for it. And then, what do we attack with? Everybody? I feel like we attack with everybody. Nobody cares because they have to double block the menace, which lets the lethal damage get through. If they blocked the higher damage, they would have let the menace get through, which still would have been lethal damage. Containment Construct really helped me pull my weight in that one. Having Liliana and the Containment Construct out at the same time, and Celestis to trigger things whenever I felt like. Really, this deck at its finest. And also for those who came around later, I have an entire playlist about Containment Construct as well, where we make a different deck out of each different color. And most of those worked really well too. If people don't recognize what value you can get out of the Containment Construct, if they ignore it as a simple 2-1 that never attacks, they might just leave it on the board the entire time. And that can help you win the game. Don't have 2 black mana sources yet. There we go. Die. They just got another one. Okay. Okay, fine. Let's do this.
Something suspicious is going on. Ah, one of your friends has to leave.
Sure, I'll take more land. Everybody loses a card. Don't need Duskmangler right now.
We all have things we'd rather forget.
Ooh, it's a defender deck. And that's 4 walls down. Yep, they get to go search for one. Sacrifice one of the ones they got. Lose the other one too. And let's make sure you can't bring some back, shall we? And I guess we lose the silencer after all. I was going to try and keep
Drop
it.
it.
Here we go. That's mono value too. All of my stuff is bigger than that, so we can get rid of their creature. Discard to no ill effect to us. And
I'm
attack.
tired of your secrets.
Get rid of more of their stuff. Gain life. Hit them in the face. Life is good.
Don't overthink things.
Submit 0. I want this to have 6 power.
Drop it.
They don't wait around. They couldn't block the 6-power menace. You get to see some of the advantages of a good mana curve discard deck. When you get a 3-cost Planeswalker down at any time, you can run away with the game. We had the perfect combination of creature interaction and discard. That's what we're looking for. And thankfully, they didn't take as long as the other player. That was excruciating. Yeah, I can't remember last time I came up against a defender deck either. No plays until turn 3. They're making sure they get their land. And they're searching for 3 colors specifically. They have blue, so they've got to think. Go play with their pet. They do nothing. Interesting. I guess we try another graveyard. They're up for double blocking. Okay. Fair trade. If it keeps me from getting 3 poison counters. All the corruption benefits come as soon as they get 3 poison counters on me. That also gives me something to exile. Well, they're going to exile something from mine. Gross. They got the land they want. I really was hoping for land. Alright, we'll get rid of your creatures. See if you block. They do not block. Let's get rid of you now. Six mana. Not good enough. There's some mana. Let's try Celestis. We don't mind draining their library, or their graveyard, rather. With red and black, they should have more removal than just this. 7 mana. You have, oh, they have Jin-Gitaxias, okay. My turn. What do I do? I think we play this. If the game doesn't freeze on me. The game froze on me. They get rid of Hoarding Broodlord. I guess I'm doing no attacks. Are they going to discard both cards to eliminate the Graveyard Trespasser, who's now a glutton? You have to discard the second one again. They're doing it. They considered that worth it. Okay. I'm going to lose this to Jingataxius. We'll get rid of at least one creature. Let's take some action and see what I can get. I guess we're getting rid of the expensive one, the slightly more expensive one, for one that's only 1 mana cheaper. They had so much more land than I did. Yeah, I think we get rid of that. Didn't get shoot. Didn't get what I wanted. 3 for 5. That's a Enchantment Saga. I guess we're doing this. We could get this. 7/6 or Dusk Mangler. Sacrifice a creature. Lose 4 life. That feels better to me. Grimnark. Gain 4 life. Let's attack with you. I'm willing to get rid of the Doom. 1 less toxic. As long as they don't have an artifact. It's a wizard, okay. Alright. I'm going to lose this, but it's an extra, so we're okay with that. Then, sacrifice a non-token creature. Get rid of that one. And now you have to block. Now my land comes in. That was kind of close. Got all my wins for the day. Alright, let's go ahead and show you the deck one more time. It's arguable. I think I could squeeze one more discard deck in here, or discard spell in here somewhere. But I probably have to take out something else. That would put me over 60. It's possible that it would be more beneficial to have, instead of having 4 Long Reach of Night, then I have something a little bit cheaper earlier. Excuse me. That could have a better discard effect. That's probably where I would make the change. I mean, you can always argue that Arena keeps giving me too many of these too early. It's always easy to take out one of these and put in something a little bit cheaper as well. But in this case, having the Dusk Mangler in the graveyard turned out really great with Cruelty of Gix. So, got to show you another combo that's built into the deck that still allows you to do a discard even if you don't have 7 mana to to cast it, we still had a discard effect. Whether they had a card or not to lose, it still worked pretty well. All right, so what did we learn today, boys and girls? Containment Construct, still awesome. I'm going to add that to the Containment Construct playlist, especially with Liliana the Veil, and trigger it whenever you want with Celestis. That makes for just a nice little draw card advantage that gives you lots of extra options and flexibility. And I like the flexibility of certain cards, like Concealing Curtains. You don't have to make them discard the card if you want. You got flexibility if you want to transform it now when you got the mana, or save it for later. Dread Fugue, you've got a little bit of flexibility on if you want to do things immediately or save it for later. For Nizumi and not Nizumi, where's the Extract the Truth? You can choose to play it now or wait for an enchantment. In Traumatic Revelation, you can choose Creature of Battle, or if you don't, you still get the 3/3 Incubator Token artifact. So I like all of those flexible type of options, and I like having the theme of, we still have the creatures have discard attached to them. Shieldred has discard attached to the Enchantment Saga, discard in the Enchantment Saga here and here. The only one that kind of doesn't is you discard your own card here with Bloodscorn Squire, and that's about the only thing that breaks, and Gix, those kind of break the theme a little bit. But Graveyard Trespasser has the ward for discard, and Liliana, of course, discard, discard, discard. So I think overall, I had one other that broke the discard thing, it's where it still has discard in it, but it's where we use the discard feature ourselves to discard a creature card if we wanted to. So not too far off. Anyway, let me know what you think of the concept. Let me know if you've got a better discard deck that you prefer to use. I love discard decks, so I don't mind seeing you guys' playlist. And with that, we'll leave it there. Thanks, everybody. Have a good one.